Thomas Jefferson once said that history, by appraising the students of the past, will allow them to judge of the future. In October 1929, the stock market crashed, and the United States entered the era known as the Great Depression. Over the course of the next few years, millions of Americans lost their jobs, and 1 out of every 4 Americans entered the growing list of the unemployed. People found themselves desperate for food, work, and shelter, the necessities of life. The Great Depression changed the tempo of the nation.
My name is Margaret Therese Shea, but my maiden name was McDerby, M-C-D-E-R-B-Y. I was born August 20th, 1920, on the top floor of a 4-story apartment building, just a few blocks from the Empire State Building. The Empire State Building was being built. We would rent a bike for 25 cents an hour, and we would ride on our bikes from 9th Avenue to 5th Avenue, and we'd see how many stories they had built on the Empire State Building over. Some people fed their families by selling apples. So on the corner of 34th Street and 9th Avenue, there'd be a man there, and he'd be selling big, shiny apples for 5 cents. And that would keep his family fed. The big source of work for men was called shaping up. And that was usually, they were mostly Irish or Italian, and they called shaping up. Every morning they got up and they got dressed, and they walked 2 or 3 long blocks down to the Hudson River. And that's where the ships were docking, and they would need men to unload their things and put it. So they did that. But then it would be so depressing that maybe 30 men would show up and they'd only hire 10. So there'd be 20 of them going home with no work. Yeah. But they were very ambitious to try to, make money for their families. The back lot of J.C. Penney on 34th Street, and then the back of it, where they unloaded stuff out of trucks, that was 33rd Street. That's where I lived. And on Thursday night was the only night you could shop. So I was like my mother's companion, more than her daughter, And so we'd be walking, and these cartons would be out on the loading dock. And my mother would say, "Oh dear, say a little prayer for those poor men. Look at them. That's the only place they have to sleep." They slept in a cardboard carton on the deck all night long on a freezing night. And that struck me so strongly.
Even in hardship, there were those who found hope. They found strength in their families and in the promise that a better day would come soon.
Well, it's the value of things, and not to always want better and more, materialistic. That's not happiness. Because I feel I had a wonderful childhood, and yet it was very poor. But we had The things we had, we loved.
I've been waiting for the hands of time to move a little slower, to make this moment last forever. And I've been wishing for the clock on the wall to tick a little faster, 'cause every moment that passes draws me nearer to you. Oh, I've been sitting here waiting, and I've been sitting here wishing, just a hoping you would come around. But darling, please take all the time you need, 'cause I got Cupid on my side. Oh, I got love on my side.